Hi, I'm Joe Sorge, and welcome to the Family Law Report, where we examine the problems and challenges facing our family law system. Today we are going to meet Kyung Trotter, a 9-year veteran of the United States Army and a mother of 3 children. Through an unusual set of circumstances, while Kyung was serving our country overseas, she lost custody of her oldest daughter. The story has an unusual constitutional twist because Kyung did not lose her daughter to the daughter's father. Kyung, welcome to the Family Law Report. Tell us how you lost your daughter.
I had set on the docket in Virginia um, to modify the custody order that was in place at the time. The custody order was impractical because my husband was in Kuwait and I was now living in Germany. And the grandparents who had visitation, they were living in New Jersey. So there was no way that I could serve over in Germany and that they could have visitation and my husband has visitation, and how was that supposed to work from 3,000 miles away? So I set a modification on the docket for December 18, 2003. I let my daughter's grandparents keep my daughter because I couldn't secure her visa at the time for her to travel with me. I left in October and her grandparents kept her from October until December. They gave me the impression that we had reconciled and that, they were going to give her back when I came back to attend the hearing. Well, when I came back to attend the hearing, my my daughter's grandfather told me, "Well, guess what? That's been canceled." My ex-husband said that he can't be here, and so he falls under the Soldiers and Sailors Act, and so we can't proceed.
So what did you do?
Well, when I realized that the hearing wasn't going to take place, I took my daughter and I went back to Germany.
How did that work out?
The next thing I knew, I was being summoned to my first sergeant's office and told that he now had sole custody and I had to relinquish custody of her right away.
In other words, your ex held a court hearing in the United States to win sole custody
Right, right.
without your knowledge?
Without my knowledge, exactly.
Were you granted visitation rights?
None.
Did the order say you were not allowed to contact your daughter?
Yes, it did.
How long were you without your daughter?
About a year.
And how long did it take you to get her back?
6 years.
6 years. Why did it take 6 years for you to regain physical custody of your daughter?
Because I ran out of money. I was chasing my husband across the map and filing in this state and filing in that state, and I finally just ran out of money.
And after 6 years, did you get joint custody or sole custody?
It was sole custody.
So how was your relationship with your daughter at the time?
It was still good. It was still good. We had the bond was still there. We had a really good relationship.
Well, it sounds like we have a happy ending. But then what happened?
Then her paternal grandparents once again intervened into the custody case. This time they asked for custody for themselves.
Now, as I understand it from reading about your case, your daughter's father essentially delegated parenting duties to his parents, the grandparents, and your daughter's grandparents formed a bond with your daughter.
Mhm.
So this time around, you fought a custody battle with the grandparents. What happened?
The evaluator, she said that the grandparents were her primary bond holders. Nobody claimed that I was doing anything to my daughter. Nobody alleged that I was neglecting her or abusing her.
Did you have a jury trial?
No.
Well, what was the outcome?
Eventually, um, she was removed from my house, like after she had been back in my care for about 13 months.
So you're this little girl's biological mother. You were considered a fit parent. You had served your country honorably overseas, and yet the family court took your child away from you again and gave her back to her grandparents. What did you do?
I decided that I was going to appeal it, pro se, and that's what I did.
You mean you taught yourself how to appeal a case? How much time did it take?
I had 10 days to learn the rules, to go through the entire record, to see what happened, and to write a brief asking, because I said that my rights were terminated, asking the Georgia Supreme Court to review the case.
And I'm not an attorney, but I know of a Supreme Court case, Troxel versus Granville, where the Supreme Court ruled that a parent's rights trump the rights of grandparents. Did you cite that case?
I most certainly did.
And what did the Georgia Supreme Court say about that?
Nothing, because the opposing attorney withheld the transcripts of the third trial. And they said, oh, because we don't have the transcripts, we can't review any of your claims that your constitutional rights have been violated.
Didn't you just ask the court reporter for a copy of the transcripts?
I did. I called her, and she's actually the one who told me that the opposing attorney had instructed her that because I didn't pay for the transcripts, that I wasn't entitled to the transcripts.
So the court reporter was keeping the transcripts from you until you came up with some money?
No, she said, you can't pay me anything because the opposing attorney said these transcripts belong to her. Because you didn't pay to have them have the hearing taken down, you have no right to these transcripts.
You mean even though these transcripts existed, the other side's attorney would not allow you to see them?
She wouldn't even allow them to be produced.
How does this make you feel about our adversarial court system for resolving family matters?
It's garbage. Right now it's garbage. And the entire system needs to be just overhauled.
Now, I know you've had some paralegal training, but even you got hung up in this transcript technicality. What about the average plumber or nurse who has to defend themselves?
I feel sorry for them. I feel really bad for them because when I first started learning legal research, I had to read sentences and cases, one sentence maybe 10, 20 times for it to even make sense to me. And I had legal training. So I feel bad for anybody who's any layperson that's trying to fight for themselves and read that language.
Do you think our state legislatures could simplify things?
Definitely. I think it should be. Any layperson should be able to just pick it up and read it and understand it.
Well, why don't you think they've simplified things?
Because if they simplify it, then there won't be a need for any more lawyers.
So, do you suspect there was any type of collusion or money influencing the outcome of your case?
I do. One, because the grandparents paid all of the guardian ad litem fees, which was about $24,000, which doesn't sound like much to some people, but it's a lot to us, to me. They also paid all of the evaluators' fees. And then I found out that the opposing attorney had contributed to the Judge Kell's campaign to election to the bench.
So the opposing attorney had contributed money to this judge who took away your daughter?
Yes, and so did the firm that the gal worked for.
The gal is the guardian ad litem.
Right.
And the guardian ad litem was essentially working for the grandparents.
Yes, she was.
And the custody evaluator was working for the grandparents.
Yes.
So the grandparents are paying in this money for these people to come up with a decision that works against you. These people give money to that judge, and that judge then decides that he's going to take your daughter away. It sounds like money bought your daughter.
They did. They bought my daughter.
Well, Kyung, thank you for conveying that heartbreaking story. I guess the light at the end of the tunnel is that your daughter will turn 18 in 4 years and that you'll be reunited.
I think so, too.
All right. Well, thank you again.
All right. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. The good old adversarial system ripping apart another family for reasons related more to campaign contributions and cronyism than anything resembling the rights of parents and of children to be with their parents. I'm Joe Sorge, and this is the Family Law Report. Thank you.